I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm willing to work as hard as I can.
There is no past, there's no future, there's just this moment right here.
If I did that, if I can get through that, like, come at me.
Changing how I saw myself, like as a man, not just as an athlete.
It's okay that I struggle. It's okay. That's part of the deal. That's how I respond to it.
This is the Limitless Athlete podcast. I'm Tom Foxley, founder of Mindset RX and your host. There are a handful of mostly ignored ways to make your mindset your greatest strength. And frankly, too many athletes are in this place where they say their mindset isn't their greatest strength. They finish up a competition and they realize that their mind was the limiting factor and not their body. Their nerves get in the way, or they just don't believe in themselves enough to actually succeed. You maybe, or probably are, one of those athletes who feels like their mind limits them if you're listening to this podcast. Most people, they fail to bolster their mindset, to train it, to make it better, because they don't view it like a trainable skill. And today, I'm going to approach just how you can apply trainable skills and trainable processes to your mindset. And we're doing that in order to make your mindset your greatest asset, not your greatest liability. So we're going to cover why trying to change your mindset too quickly may actually make it worse, how traditional goal setting just isn't enough to create progress for you, why your self-reputation is essential to your mindset change, and finally, why you should give in to your weaknesses, but only sometimes. So the first one, don't try to change too quickly. Let's take this really common example. You are an athlete who's realized there's something about your mindset that you'd like to change. Maybe it's your negativity. Maybe it's your lack of self-belief. Maybe it's this frustration about not being good enough. Maybe, well, it could be a million other things. So I'll stop there. But let's say you've noticed it. At this point, what most athletes try and do before they, for example, work with myself or another mindset coach, is they try and force their mindset to be different. They try and force the change to happen, but they forget the most important step, which is awareness. They're trying to change it, but they're noticing it too late in the process. It's after the fact they're trying to realize that, oh man, I should have changed. And that's not the way the mind works. We have to generate awareness first. So they're just being carried along by this roller coaster of emotion and roller coaster of mental state. And then they realize that the ride's finished. They actually have to go back and watch their mindset grow, watch their mindset as it develops and as it changes in order to create change. They need to get better at watching it. So initially what happens is you find yourself in this realization of, I want to change something about my mindset. So we went through those examples before. It's maybe one of those. I want to be tougher. I want to be stronger. I give in too easily. Maybe it's that. And you notice you want to change that. What usually happens here is you catch yourself too late, like I said. And then someone says, okay, we're going to change that. We need to change that. We need to make yourself more positive, more aggressive, have more grit, whatever it is. And then what happens is you go through a training session and you realize afterwards, like, oh man, that was my opportunity to change. I didn't change it. I could have changed my mindset. And then you kind of beat yourself up, unless you realize that that's actually the first step in the process. This is being consciously incompetent. And more to the point, this is further embedded when you get to the point where you're watching yourself perform that non-serving mindset pattern, whatever that is for you. And you're watching yourself doing it, but you can't snap yourself out of it. So you watch yourself give in to negativity, or you watch yourself give in to a lack of self-belief, and you realize that, oh, I just can't stop myself from doing this. Maybe you back out of the training session you're trying to do. Maybe you stop pushing so hard, but you are aware you're doing it. It's super uncomfortable, but we don't want to admit defeat here because it's actually a step forwards. The next step is to catch yourself a fraction of a second before you make that kind of mindset fault and then you'll be able to change it because you become aware of the fact before it happens. So you become more aware. And this is what's called being consciously competent. You're aware of the fact it's happening and you can change it. Now, this is extraordinarily demanding to be continually practicing and aware of this. Luckily, the mind has this ability to adapt, where if you give it the stimulus over and over and over again, it becomes unconsciously competent at the end. So you just do it consistently. So what I'm saying is you don't need to try and change your mindset too quickly. You need to practice awareness until you can catch it before the event, until you start to feel that kind of urging towards negativity or whatever's not serving you properly, and you can stop it and interrupt it then, not try and change it too soon. Secondly, most athletes are creating goals when they need to be creating visions. We've all been told we need to set goals, but in reality, goals are just a starting point. The best athletes I work with, and when I'm working with athletes, this is where I'm trying to get them to, is they have a vision that kind of all of their goals sit under. This doesn't just encompass what they want to achieve, but it encompasses who they are and who they have the potential to become. So this is a broader view, a wider view, because goals come and go. You hit them or you miss them. They hold you back or they allow you to grow. But the thing that you can achieve in any moment, in any time, is achieving the type of person that you want to become. You're acting as if you're that type of person. And that is available to you whenever, wherever you are, as long as you're conscious enough to change it. So to answering these questions, get a little bit closer. To achieve my dream goals, how do I need to personally evolve? That will encourage you to get thinking about how you can become better. Secondly, how do I currently hold myself back in competitions, and which character skills can I develop to overcome this? So say you bail out of heavy lifts because you lack the processes, you lack the self-discipline to go through the processes, maybe something like that. And in that situation, you need to develop the character skills to overcome that, which may be discipline, maybe grit, maybe determination, maybe positivity, whatever's right for you. You need to develop that character skill. So by identifying them, then you can start working toward them, start training them. So you can get going towards that right now. Third, what do I respect in others that I'd like to display more of myself? So again, you have this kind of inbuilt guidance system to look at others and to admire things about them that you would like to see more of in yourself. So look at those people in the gym that you admire. Look at those athletes that are professional athletes that you admire, the people outside of the gym even that you know, and think, how would I like to display more of that myself? And the amazing thing is, the more you do this, the more consistently you start aiming at that type of person, the more your reputation with yourself begins to shift and you believe you are that type of person. And when you believe you are that type of person, that is when you start to change. And then finally, this is a difficult concept for athletes to get, which is we want to force the issue. We want to force our mindset change. But to be honest, what we need to do is learn to accept, to radically accept each and every moment. And this is something that I get all my athletes to do, to practice radical acceptance. So whatever is going on, no matter how much you want it to happen, how much you don't want it to happen, no matter how painful, how uncomfortable it is, your job is to just accept it in its entirety. Because most of the time when we're trying to force things to be different, we are not accepting reality as it is. And this is actually what creates a lot of the pain, a lot of discomfort, a lot of the dissatisfaction with our mental state. So no matter how good or bad, your job is to accept it. No matter how much you wish it were different, your job is to accept it, because it's only by accepting reality that we can begin to change it. If you enjoyed this show, then you may be interested in something that's coming out very soon. This is going to be an opportunity to work with me on a very close basis. We are going to, and this specifically designed for those athletes who want to dominate their next competition coming up. So it's a 12-week coaching program. This is tailored specifically to the CrossFit athlete who needs to go into their next competition feeling confident, feeling driven, knowing that they can overcome any hurdle thrown at them, knowing that they can work through their nerves, that they can hit the lifts or the technical skills they know they should be able to hit, and they know that their mindset is not going to be the thing holding them back. As I said, I'm going to be taking on a few athletes to do that. In fact, I'm taking on a maximum of 5 because that's all I can work with at this moment in time. And I'm going to be working with 5 athletes very closely, coaching them personally, individually for this specific goal. If you are interested in this, I want you to head to my Instagram profile, which is Tom Foxley, Foxley, and send me the word interested. You'll need to do so as soon as you possibly can, because there already are a couple of people interested, and one space is taken already, and I haven't even released it yet. So let's, if you're interested in that, shoot me a message and we can go from there. And if not, then I'll speak to you next week for another episode of the Limitless Athlete podcast.